All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth. Thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide. Strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness. Great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. All right. Crown him with many crowns. Crown him with many crowns, the Lamb upon his throne. Hark how the heavenly anthem drowns all music but its own. Awake my soul and sing of him who died for thee, and hail him as thy matchless King through all eternity. Crown him the Lord of life, who triumphed o'er the grave, and rose victorious in the strife for those he came to save. His glories now we sing, who died and rose on high, that death and lives that death may die. Crown him the Lord of love, behold his hands and side, those wounds yet visible above, in beauty glorified. All hail Redeemer, hail, for thou hast died for me. Thy praise and glory shall not fail throughout eternity. All right, we're going to do one last song, Living for Jesus. Living for Jesus, that is true. Striving to please him in all that I do. Yielding allegiance, glad-hearted and free. This is the pathway of blessing for me. Oh, Jesus, Lord and Savior, I give myself to thee. For thou in thine atonement didst give thyself for me. I don't know what
Well, let's look at the meaning of life then. Don't want to confuse it with the purpose of life. The purpose of life we have talked about before is in John chapter 8. I'll just read it, John 8 and 29. John chapter 8, verse 29 and 30, or 28 and 29. The Bible says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. For those God foreknew, he predestined to be conformed to the likeness of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers." And so our purpose in life is one thing. For everybody in the whole world, we all have the same purpose in life, to be like Jesus. That's why we're here, to just become like Jesus. So as we go from birth to death, we have one purpose in life, is to become like Jesus. That's what he predestined us. That's what he called us to. It's what he looked into the future and said, who do I want every person ever born in the world until I come back to be like? Oh, I got it. I want everybody to be like my son Jesus. And so that's what he called us out to be and to become. So we're not talking about our purpose in life tonight. We're talking about the meaning of life. What is that? What does life mean? How do we get meaning out of life? You know, when we're dead and gone, what will our life meant? What will people remember us about in our life? What will people say as they sit around the lunch table and breakfast table and talk about me and you and everybody in this room and everybody, what are people going to say about us? The meaning of life is what we're doing now, so that in the future when people sit around a table and sit around the living room or wherever they sit around and talk about, remember them and remember that person and you know what they were and what they did and how they acted and how they talked and what they accomplished and all that. That's meaning of life, what people are seeing in our life today, that we have meaning, that we have roots in something, and we're going to look at that. What's meaning of life for us? How do we find that purpose, meaning in life for us? And maybe we haven't seen it yet. Maybe we don't know that we can start now to find out. So what's the meaning of life? Let's do a little trivia. Who was the first king of Israel? Who was the second king of Israel? Third king of Israel? Solomon. Solomon wrote 3 books of the Bible, the Old Testament. What 3 books did he write?
Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon.
Okay. Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, or Song of Songs, as some versions of the Bible have. When Saul became king, God came to him and said, when Solomon became king, the third one, Saul, David, Solomon. When Solomon became king, God came to him and said, Solomon, ask me for anything you want. I mean, just sit down and just think about it, Solomon. Ask me for anything, and I'll give it to you. Can you imagine God asking us that question? Coming to us and saying, calling us by name, ask for anything you want. We might have to just sit down a little bit and say, well, God, let me think on this. I need a little time here. Solomon asked for wisdom, didn't he? God said, you got it. And he gave it to him. Imagine that. Of all things he could have asked for, wisdom. Understanding of spiritual things is wisdom. Understanding what God is saying, what God is doing, getting a hold of that, God knowledge, that God wisdom, and just getting an understanding of it. And so that's what he got. Well, we'll move on then in this book of Ecclesiastes, because that's where Solomon wrote about, what's the meaning of life? We'll get to it, won't we? Ecclesiastes 1:1. The words of the teacher, son of David, king of Jerusalem. He's telling who he is. He says, meaningless, says the teacher, talking about himself, the teacher. Utterly meaningless, everything is meaningless. And if you have your Bibles that you're reading from also, have different versions of the Bible, a lot of the versions have the word not meaningless, but the word vanity. And so Solomon is sitting down and writing this book, the wisest man that God gave wisdom to, and he says, you know what I figured out? Everything is meaningless. Not only that, but he said utterly meaningless. That's pretty meaningless. So maybe we better understand what the word meaningless is anyway. Instead, a lot of the versions of the Bible say the word vanity. Well, what does that mean? It means there's no real substance, no permanence or meaning. We get involved in something, we start doing something, we go somewhere, we take on a task, and we realize, wait, this doesn't have any real substance to it. I mean, what am I doing here? It's no permanence to it, it's just passing through. There's really no meaning to what I'm doing. That's meaningless, no vanity or vanity. It also means activity without real significance. I'm doing something, I'm involved in something, but it has really no significance to move this from here to over here. It's just no significance to the task or the life that I'm living. It also means a waste of time and no satisfaction. Have you ever done anything and then when you got through with it said, that sure was a waste of my time? You did whatever you did, or you went wherever you went, and when you got through with it, you look back on it and said, why did I do that? That was a total waste of my time, whether it was 2 minutes or 2 hours or 2 days. You look back on it, what was I thinking? And you got no satisfaction out of it. I did it. It was a waste of my time as I look back, and I'm not satisfied with the way things turned out. That's meaningless. It also means it's transitory, doesn't last. It simply has no lasting value. And so Solomon had sat down and looked at his life, says, that's me. There's no real substance, there's no permanence, there's no meaning to my life. There's no real significance to anything I'm doing. I'm wasting my time, I'm not getting satisfied in my life. Everything I'm doing is just transitory, it's temporary, and I've got no lasting value. And maybe you're not there, maybe you've never been there, but maybe there's a speck of some of this going on in your life tonight that, what am I doing? What am I accomplishing? Where am I going in life? Where's my meaning in life? Because I can't seem to find it, because I understand what he's talking about right here, because these are some of the things maybe I'm doing. So he goes on in these next 11 verses and just kind of summarizes what he's saying there about meaningless in verse 1. So we're going to just move on through so we can get to where we need to go and not take a whole lot of time tonight. Drop on down to verse 12 if you're following in your Bible or on the board or in the notes, whichever you have. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 12. I, the teacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem. Okay, we know who he is. And I devoted myself to study and to explore by wisdom all that is done under heaven. I mean, I just wanted to know everything. I just wanted to study all the time, read everything I can get my hands on. I just want to know everything God has and God does. I just want to know his mind. I just want to know everything under heaven. And then he said, wait, what a heavy burden God has laid on man. To want to know everything that we can know in this world under heaven, he said, that's a heavy weight. That's a lot. I don't know what kind of degrees you've had in college or what kind of high school education you have or what kind of education you're getting, but the more you seem to learn, it seems like the less you really know and the more you can learn. And it just seems like, I don't know as much as I thought I knew, even though I just learned something new. And so it just can be a burden, this learning and growing and studying. Maybe you recall studying for tests sometimes, and then you took the test and I thought I knew more than what I knew, and I kind of failed that one, but that was Solomon. So what was he going to do now? He said, I got this heavy burden on me, trying to study, explore wisdom. I want to know everything about God and everything under the heavens, and it's a heavy burden on me. So what am I going to do? I want to find meaning in life because I'm not finding it. So he said he's going to do 3 things to find meaning. First thing he said he's going to do, I want to find meaning in pleasure. You know about pleasure, don't you? Having a good time, doing something fun, doing something exciting. Solomon thought pleasure would surely bring meaning to his life. If I can just enjoy life, just have a good time from the age that I am now till the time that I die, that'll bring meaning to my life. So let's see if it did. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 1. I thought in my heart, come now. Talking to himself, you see. You ever talk to yourself? Okay, most people do. All the time? Okay, so most people do. So we're no different than Solomon. He's the wisest man that ever lived, so we're pretty wise. We're talking to ourselves, okay? Come now, I will test you, talking about his heart, me. I will test you with pleasure to find out what is good. I'm just going to enjoy life, and I'll find out what's good, what's meaningful. But, oh no, that also proved to be meaningless. He's already found a conclusion before he ever got started. Verse 2, he goes on, laughter, I said, oh, it's foolish. He thought he just could laugh and hear jokes and tell jokes and people do things and see things and laugh at it, and that'd be really meaningful and pleasurable. But I found it as foolish. And what does pleasure really accomplish? Where am I going in life? Where's the meaning in life? Just doing fun things. He said, I tried cheering myself with wine and embracing folly. I'll just get drunk every night. I'll just drink as much as I can drink. I'll just get that wine. I'll just keep drinking and drinking, and I'll embrace folly. I'll just do till I'm falling down drunk, and yet my mind's still guiding me with wisdom. He said, because I'm getting drunk, I'm falling down drunk, having this all this foolishness, and drinking as much as I want to drink, because I'm letting wisdom guide me to find out what meaningful is, what is meaningful in life. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Not really. I'm letting wisdom guide me because I'm thinking pleasure, especially now with all this wine, all this drinking, all this drunkenness, and all this foolishness comes out of it. Have you ever seen somebody drunk? You've never been drunk, I know that. But have you ever seen somebody drunk? Okay, only Bo has, and Douglas and Sherry have seen people, y'all. Okay, 2 or 3 of you have seen people drunk. Can't they just be so silly? Those people you've seen. I mean, they just say things that, what are you talking about? They just do things and fall sometimes and trip each other. You know, hold me. You know, and it's just, he said it's foolishness. He said, I found that out. I'm embracing this foolishness. I'm letting wisdom guide me so I can figure this thing out about pleasure. And I wanted to see what was worthwhile for men to do under heaven during the few days of their lives. I just want to find out what's meaningful to life. I undertook great projects. I built houses for myself and planted vineyards. Yeah, he probably did plant a lot of vineyards, doing all that drinking, make wine out of it. I built houses, build one, live in it a while, go get another one, plant all these vineyards. Well, he's staying drunk all the time. I made gardens, planted gardens and parks with flowers and planted all kinds of fruit trees in them. He's just creating gardens and parks and making things beautiful and building houses and planting vineyards, making wine, getting drunk, having pleasure. He said, I made reservoirs to water groves of flourishing trees. Well, with all these trees and all these vineyards and all these parks and gardens, I got to have water, so he built reservoirs. And he said, they'll cause everything to flourish. I bought male and female slaves. They could work for me, and had other slaves who were born in my house. I also owned many more herds and flocks than anyone in Jerusalem before me. I'm just accumulating flocks and herds and things and growing things and fruit trees and gardens and parks. I'm just getting more and more. In fact, I had more than anybody in Jerusalem ever had before me. Verse 8, I amassed silver and gold for myself. I just started getting silver and gold. I'm just raking it in. And the treasure of kings and provinces. I'm taking over all these other countries around us, and I'm just getting more silver and gold coming in all the time. I acquired men and women singers. I mean, he got the choirs, that he could find these choirs in other countries and bring all these men in to sing to me, bring all these women in to sing to me, and a harem as well. And then he had this kind of side note, the delights of the heart of man. Now, I won't go into the definition of a harem, but you probably know. So there he goes. He's having a great time. I became greater by far than anyone in Jerusalem before me. In all this, my wisdom stayed with me. I don't know how, but it did. He said, I just got great. I just got way up there. Verse 10, he's about to conclude this. I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. If I saw something out there that I wanted, I want that horse, I want that other cow, I want that woman over there, I want this over here. I want that garden over there. Somebody planted a new tree. I want that tree. Whatever he saw, he got. If I desired it, I got it. I refused my heart no pleasure. I'm just having a great time. I'm living it up. My heart took delight in all my work, and this was the reward for all my labor. Having a great time, getting more. Yet, verse 11, yet, but, however, When I surveyed all my hands had done, when I looked back where it all began, and what I had toiled to achieve, what I'd worked for to get all these gardens and singers and dancers and women and gold and silver, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. I had it all, but I had nothing, he said. I did it all, but I did nothing. I tried it all, but it was all meaningless. Everything. So, pleasure didn't find him meaning for life. It didn't work. So he said, I know, wisdom. Understanding the spiritual things of God, wisdom. Understanding spiritual things from God. He says, that'll bring meaning to my life. If I can just understand everything about God, that will bring meaning to my life. So, in verse 12, chapter 2, Ecclesiastes, then I turned my thoughts to consider wisdom. Okay, we tried that with pleasure, didn't work, so let me go to wisdom. And also madness and folly. That's what it turned out to be. What more can a king's successor do than what has already been done? The one that succeeds me as king, I'm going to do everything I can think of to do with wisdom, just whatever God shows me to do, because whoever comes after me will be able to look back and say, that's already been accomplished, because I did it. Verse 13, I saw that wisdom is better than folly. Well, it is. Rather than having all this great time and foolishness, wisdom may mean more. Just as light is better than darkness. The wise man has eyes in his head, while the fool walks in darkness. But I came to realize that the same fate overtakes them both. He said, I can be wise and walk in the light, and here's somebody that's very foolish, walking in the dark. And he said, I realize both of us are going to die. He said, we'll both wind up in the cemetery, side by side maybe. A very wise person in the light and a very foolish person in the dark. He said, we're both going to die. Then I thought in my heart, verse 15, the fate of the fool will overtake me also. What then do I gain by being wise? He said, the foolish person, the walking in dark person, they're going to accomplish more than I do, so what do I get by being wise? It doesn't make any sense. So I said in my heart, this too is meaningless. All this wisdom. I can be the smartest man on earth, smartest person on earth, and I'm still going to die just like the most ignorant person on earth. Who's kind of been seen as or recognized or pointed out sometimes as being the most intelligent person today? Do you know? Well, now. In today's day, today's society. Donald Trump? Elon Musk. Elon Musk considered the most intelligent person in the world right now. Because he's coming up with Starlink, AI, putting people on the moon, to Mars, satellites, cars. He's creative, he's intelligent. He's got people around him that are intelligent, and he's considered to be the most intelligent person in the world right now. Do you know that one day he'll die? And he'll be in a cemetery or an urn, whatever you do, just like a homeless person on the street that has nothing. And yet he's not only the most intelligent person, but he's also the richest person. But he's going to die one day. Nothing he can do about that. He's also invented, I heard this recently, he's also invented, and they showed the man, this man has ALS. He's paralyzed from the neck down. Can't talk, can't move any part of his body. They implanted something into his brain, and what he can do is just think, like these words here. He can think these words, and it'll come out on a screen. It'll come out, it'll type out itself on a computer screen. Simply because he's thinking it in his head, it comes out on the computer screen right in front of everybody. How amazing is that? Can't move any part of his body, can't even talk, but if he can think it, he can get it to come out on the screen and talk to people that way. People will say, oh, you just said that? Well, respond. Stuff like that, causing people to walk because of implanting things into the brain and the body, and they can walk and move and so forth. So just very intelligent. But he said, what then do I gain by being wise? I said in my heart, this too is meaningless. For the wise man, like the fool, will not be long remembered. In days to come, both will be forgotten. Like the fool, the wise man too must die. So both can die. Wise man, foolish man, wise man, ignorant man, woman, whatever, person. Both going to die. Both going to go to the grave. So he said, I found out that's meaningless too. For me to know more, know more, know more, that doesn't give meaning to my life, he said. So he said, I'm going to try one more thing. He thought hard work would bring meaning to life. I mean, hard work is what we're called to do. Ever since day one in the Garden of Eden, put Adam and Eve there to work the garden, God said. God said, I created it. I'm going to put you in there to manage it. He said, you manage the garden for me. So when we're in this world today, God says, I created the world and everything in the world, and I'm going to put you as people in the world to manage my creation for me. So therefore, nothing in all creation is ours. Everything in all creation is God's. We're just here to manage it for Him. And so he said in a New Testament and Old Testament like this, work hard. And so he thought, well, I can find meaning in life by working hard. I'll just outwork everybody around me. And that'll give me meaning in life. Then verse 17. So I hated my life because wisdom didn't work, pleasure didn't work, because the work that is done under the sun was grievous to me. All of it is meaningless, a chasing after the wind. He said, everything I do, it still doesn't give me meaning. It's just grievous. It becomes a burden to me. Oh, I got to go to work today. How many, you don't have to say anything, but how many people in the world on a given day has said, I have got to go to work today, and I don't want to. Many times on a Monday morning, sometimes on a Friday, let's get off at noon today, those kind of things, and I just don't want to go to work. It becomes grievous to us, becomes a burden to us. It becomes something that we just don't enjoy because where's the meaning in it? That's what Solomon's saying. Work became grievous, just meaningless, chasing after the wind. He said, I hated all the things I had toiled for under the sun because I must leave them to the one who comes after me. We work for things, we gather things, we accumulate things, and then we're going to die and somebody else is going to get everything we got. Isn't that amazing? All those things that have been accumulated for maybe years, somebody else is going to get it. Then, let's see, I guess we're a little ahead, but I'll go ahead and say it. Then what becomes of it? I don't know. That's why you see estate sales. Mom and Daddy's gone. The children now have the home and everything in it, and they got out what little things they may want, and then they got 9/10 of everything still in the house, and they're sitting around, what are we going to do with it? Sell it and have the big estate sale. People crowd in there by the hundreds and grab and snatch and I want that. Well, I want that. I want that. And the children sitting over there think, what are these people doing? That's my mama's favorite vase. What are they doing trying to grab it like that? They don't want it. And then it's all sold. They got all the money out of it, divided up between the 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and where Daddy and Mama's stuff's gone. And yet they worked for years to accumulate it. They paid good money for all this stuff. They saw something they really liked and treasured it and said, I really want that. It's going to cost me a lot. It's going to have to pay it out, but I really want that, whatever that is. And they bring it home and love it and enjoy it and use it. And then one day they're gone and they sell it or they estate sale and I go buy it, or something. That's what he's saying. I toiled under heaven, toiled under the sun because I must leave them to one who comes after me. And who knows whether he'll be wise man or a fool. Who knows the person that gets what I worked for all my life is wise with it or foolish with it. Yet he will have control over all the work into which I poured my effort and skill under the sun. This too, there it is, he said, is meaningless. All that I accumulate, all that I get, all that I enjoy getting, and all that I worked hard for and paid for, and somebody else is going to get it. I wonder what they'll do with it. I wonder if they'll be very wise and take care of it and treasure it like I treasure it. Or they be foolish and just waste it, tear it up, let it fall apart, let it rot, leave it out in the rain, let it rust out. I wonder what they'll do with it. We won't know because it won't be here. And that's why he said it's meaningless. We try to treasure it and accumulate it and enjoy it and want it to be part of our life from now on, and it will be. But then we're gone, and then Joe Bob comes along, gets it, and doesn't care anything about it like we did. So my heart began to despair over all my toilsome labor under the sun. I just began to despair. You know despair, don't you? Just, life's just not any good. It's just meaningless, and, just kick the dog and mope around. And, boy, I don't know what I can't find meaning in life. I don't know who I am, what I'm supposed to do. I mean, I've tried all this pleasure, just having a great time. I enjoyed drinking and cussing and raising, doing stuff. And I didn't find any meaning in it. It seemed fun at the time, but then when I look back on it, I thought, no, it wasn't any fun. If I can just get wise and figure everything out, learn everything God can show me, I can use my wisdom to really accomplish something in life. The more I learn, the less I know I learned. And besides that, the more I learn to do more with my life and knowing that this person over here that's doing nothing with their life, we're both going to wind up in the grave. Okay, I'll just work hard. I'll just sink my life into my work, and that'll bring meaning to my life. Oh, but wait. I got to retire one day. Now what am I going to do? Do you know so many people, maybe you've seen it in your life, so many people retire and it's only months they're dead. Where's their meaning in life? All their meaning in life was in that job. They worked in that career, that job for 40 years, or something like that, and they retired. They got a big plaque and awards and party and cake and all that. Good job. You did good for the last 40 years for us. Thank you for staying 40 years. Next, you come on in and take his place. You can come in and take his place. They always bring some in and take your place. And then we go home like, well, I'm retired. What am I going to do now? My whole meaning and purpose in life's gone. I took all my life and put it in that job, and now I can't do that anymore. Besides, I got arthritis in my hands, and, they won't straighten out. And despair. That's what Solomon said. For man may do his work with wisdom, okay? Man may do his work with knowledge and skill, and then he must leave all he owns to someone who's not worked for it. You mean I've spent 40 years in that job, doing everything I can to please my boss, my company, raising up the level a little bit here and there, and getting accomplishments and putting all my work in, my force into it, feeling pretty good about it, and now I'm retired, and what? They hired a 24-year-old college graduate to come take my place that doesn't know anything like I know. That's right, Aaron took their place. I could hear him back there. He thought I was talking about him, but I really wasn't until I heard him laugh. Here's that 65-year-old guy going out the door as Aaron's coming in. And the guy going out the door said, wait, Aaron, you don't know near about as much as I know about this job. I don't know how you're going to handle it. I handle it. I don't know if you can. Because I must leave everything on someone else who's not worked for it. Whether we've got the accumulation of stuff and things, somebody else is going to get it, or whether it's that job or whatever it may be, that toil over and over. So he said, this too is meaningless and just a great misfortune. I thought I was going to find meaning in all of that. So what does a man get to all his toil and anxious striving, getting worried about things with which he labors under the sun? All his days, his work is pain and grief, and even at night his mind does not rest. This too is meaningless. How many times do we stay up at night worried and about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen in the job, and how can I fix that, how can I fix this, I need work, and I need to get up early, I need to stay up late, and all those kind of things. Verse 24, a man can do nothing better to eat than to eat and drink and find satisfaction in his work. But this too I see is from the hand of God, for without him, who can eat or find enjoyment? Without God, nobody. So, to the man who pleases him, God gives wisdom, knowledge, and happiness. But to the sinner, he gives the task of gathering and storing up wealth to hand it over to the one who pleases God. So this too is meaningless, chasing after the wind. I'm just gonna gather and work and hand it over to somebody else. They may please God or they may not. So he tried 3 different things. He tried pleasure and wisdom and work. And in the end of it, he said, I hadn't found meaning in life yet. None of that gives me meaning. It's all meaningless. It's all let me go back to the definition. He said, everything I've tried and everything I've done is this vanity. There's no real substance to all that work, wisdom, and folly, and partying, and drinking, and all that stuff. There's no permanence to it. There's no meaning in it. Nothing gave me real significance. It was a waste of time. There's no satisfaction. It just had no lasting value. And so he says, what am I supposed to do? How do I accomplish meaning in life? Where do I get meaning in life? So we now have to go to the very last chapter of the book of Ecclesiastes. We skip all the other where he keeps talking in there. It's a great book. You ought to read. Just take the whole book and just read it sometime. I got started on it several months ago, and just, this is where we are tonight with it. So we have to go to the last chapter and the last few verses to find meaning in life. He said not only was the teacher wise, talking about himself, but also he imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered. You ever ponder anything? If you're pondering something, what are you doing? Thinking about it. Okay? We ponder something. And searched out and set in order many proverbs. He wrote proverbs. So he said, here's meaning in life through that. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true, because he got it from God. The words of the wise are like goads, like pricks, like sticking somebody, goading somebody. Most of you probably hadn't worked cows before, but there's this long stick that you can hit it on the back end of a cow and it'll shock them and it makes them move on. That's what this is talking about, without the electricity. They didn't have electricity back then, so nor batteries or anything like that, but that's what is the same thing. The words of the wise are like goads, pushing, prodding. They're collected sayings like firmly embedded nails. A nail would do it, wouldn't it? Prod you. You stick somebody with a nail, probably going to, stick them in the back. They're probably going to move forward, aren't they? So that's what he's saying about wisdom. Given by one shepherd. Be warned, my son, my daughter, of anything in addition to them, of making many books. There's no end, and much study wearies the body. Back here in this room, right behind this wall, is all of my books from when I went to seminary. Hundreds of them. And I've always wondered, because every time I've moved from one church to another, I brought them with me, because I didn't have room at home, and so that's why they were all back here for anybody to read. But books are becoming obsolete. Isn't that amazing? You know where you can get books now? Here. Now, if I had a preference, which I do, I prefer books like this rather than like this. And so when I was in seminary, though, most of everything I got was paper. So they're all back there. But you know what? I don't know what I was going to do with them. I don't know where they needed to go when I'm gone. Nobody wants to read any of that. I mean, it's just seminary stuff. Greek, Hebrew, Old Testament history, New Testament history, Christian history, all this kind of thing, world geography through the Israel and all that. So what I'm going to do, they're all boxed up. Every one of them, they're in boxes back there. And I'm taking them to Rolling Hills Library. And I'm going to give them to them. And maybe through them, people as they come in, they find a book. Hey, that's pretty good. I'd like to read that. Okay, that's yours. They'll do it. And so, of many books, there's no end. And much study wearies the body. There's a lot of days I was weary, studying, preparing for tests, and all those kind of things. And so, he said, all we really need is this book. That's what Solomon said. That's really the only book we need. So he goes on to verse 13. We're getting there. Now all has been heard. He said, I'm here's the conclusion of the matter. This is the end result. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. That's it. We had to talk about all that other in order to get here to this one verse. Why didn't you just start there and end there? Because I had to take up time.
We could have gone back to this morning.
Yeah, that's right.
Did with that.
Yeah, there you go. That's right. So he said, here's the conclusion. You want meaning in life? There it is. Fear God and keep his commandments. That's our whole duty. That's where we find meaning. So let's make sure we understand the phrase, fear God. Fear God means to stand in awe of him. Have you ever stood in awe of something that you're looking at? You know, maybe if you like paintings, you know, portraits or things on the wall, you just stand there and look at it just in awe. I can't believe how that looks. Look at the colors. And, you know, Gary's an artist, and he would just stand there probably and look at things we wouldn't look at for 5 seconds. He'd stand there and look at it 5 minutes because the artistic nature of his mind, he would just look at strokes and colors and all the combinations of everything. And we stand in awe of things. Sometimes it's flowers. We've got a lot of things blooming in our yard, and every day we make a round around the yard to see what else is blooming today. And some new color, some new flower, something's bloomed out, and we just walk through the yard and look at that. And we just point things out and take pictures of it and everything. And we stand in awe of a lot of things. But God says, stand in awe of him. Just look at him and say, Lord, you're just wonderful. You're just beautiful. I stand in awe of you every day. I look at your creation and what you made, and Lord, I just stand in awe of you. There's a reverence for God that we think, God, you're it, because you are. And I just revere you. I just love you. We honor God. We respect God. Respect how we live and what we do and what we say out of respect for him, because we honor him. To be afraid of him. Not that we would say, oh, don't hit me, God. But we know that he would, because he disciplines his children. Hebrews chapter 11 talks about that, or 12 rather. Every Christian, every child of God, as we talked about a little bit this morning, every child of God is disciplined by God when we do something wrong. It's like a parent does their child. Probably every person in here remembers childhood discipline. Every parent did it different. You know, Douglas had a little worse than I did because he did a little worse things than I did. So Daddy had to discipline him a little more than he did me, but not really. It's me, not him. But that's fear of God. So he said the first thing we need to do is find meaning in life. If we're going to find meaning in life, we're going to fear God first. And then we're going to keep his commandments. We're going to do what he says. We're going to read his word. We're going to say, okay, God, you want me to do this and this and this over here? Okay, I will. You don't want me to do that? You don't want me to do this? Okay, I won't. And we just obey him. And we fear him. We have awe of him. We honor him. And that's meaning in life. Because the very last verse then, for God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it's good or evil. Everything we do, God's going to bring it into judgment. If it's something good, then we get blessings for it. If something bad, we get discipline for it. And that's how every day goes, and every week goes, and every month goes, and every year goes until we leave this world. And so if we're going to find meaning in life, we're going to find something that's going to last, something that's going to be permanent, something that's going to bring us satisfaction in life, that we're going to enjoy, is fearing God and keeping his commandments. That's our whole duty. That's it. And so we go out tonight knowing how to find meaning in life. It's right there. So hang on to that verse. If you got your Bible and want to underline it, just underline it so you can go back and say, where's meaning in life? Oh, there it is, right there. Just having this fear, this honor, this awe of God, and just keeping his commandments. Living life his way, not our way.